Okay, so welcome everyone. My name is Frédéric Passeron. I'm part of the HPE Dev team, and along with some of my colleagues and Prashanto Kochavara, we'll be hosting today the 32nd Dev Talk. It's been more than a year now that we've been delivering these on a regular basis every 2 weeks. And this week is going to be about recovering and porting cloud-native application in a fast-paced DevOps world. And Prashanto, who's Director of Product in Kubernetes for Trilio, will be presenting this session. Before starting this session, we'll be going through a very quick housekeeping. So let me just jump into this one. So yeah, as you probably know, all the Dev Talks are being recorded and you can register to them. You just need to go and point to the URL that is displayed in the slide, and I'm pretty sure that either Denise or Patrick will be copying this this URL in the chat, so you can actually register it or bookmark it if you need. So this URL will provide you with the calendar of the forthcoming Dev Talks. It has the registration links as well as the replay for all these given sessions are being recorded, and we're making sure that a few days after the call, the session is available or the replay is available. The next session will be taking place on August 4th. It will be about faster apps and app delivery with GraphQL. It will be presented by Phil Krasek and Michael Watson from GraphQL. For September timeframe, I don't have the agenda yet, and I'm pretty sure that when Didier returns from his sunny vacation in Spain, he'll be about to tell us more about what will be coming up in September. And I'm pretty sure he has plenty of ideas in mind already. So, as you probably know, the Dev program is only worth for the people who are making the community, I would say. So if you want to learn, well, there are plenty of things you can do. You can go and register for one of the workshops on demand. We're working on a regular basis to have some more content added in there. I'm currently working with my colleague here, Bruno Cornec. And so for each of the workshops, you have the URL as well. And at the end of each workshop, we have a survey that we would like you to fill. It allows us to actually see what are the subjects that you would like to see covered and how to make our work better as well. So it's very important for you to fill out this survey. You can also contribute and work with us. I mean, on a regular basis, we can write some blogs, you can deliver a Dev Talk, or you can also invite some customers to our Mention Learn, which are taking place. And the next one will be on July 28th. Will be how to make data consumable from a real-world data science, as well as in August on Kubernetes 101, and this one will be held with some hands-on actually. So if you have some customers who are willing to learn about Kubernetes, that will be the time for them to join the session and enjoy the workshops there. We also have a developer survey, and we would like you to be able to fill it up and also invite your customer to fill it up. It's all about HPE and the relationship with the developers and the different things that developers are doing with regard to HPE. So it's important for people to fill it up. Then, if you want to communicate about the HPE program, the Dev Community Program, well, obviously you can have the slides that will be at the end of the presentation, and that is available on our Yammer group. We also have some Twitter account and other things to actually, and we're also available on Slack. So there are plenty of ways to reach out to us, either for, inquiring about some APIs problems, or just simply do some blogs or dev talks or any other activities. With that being said, I think I can now leave it to you, Prashanto. I will stop sharing and I will leave it to you to do the presentation. So hopefully, as you all know, this session has to be interactive. So please use the chat. If there are any questions, we'll relay them to Prashanto. And otherwise, this one has no hands-on, but there will be a demo given by Prashanto in the middle of the presentation as well. With that being said, I wish you a very good Dev Talk and talk to you at the end. See you there.
Well, welcome everyone. My name is Prashanto Kochavara. I'm the Director of Product here at Trilio, and super excited to be talking about recovering and portability of applications in a cloud-native world. So what we're going to do as part of the agenda, I'm going to talk about the problem statement as to why we are talking about the Kubernetes challenges and themes, what we are seeing in the Kubernetes market in general, and overall, setting the tone as to why we need a product like Trilio to be doing data protection and data management for you. And about up until 18 months ago, I used to be on the HPE side of things. So I was part of HPE, and I used to be very well integrated into the developer program, and that's why it's really close to my heart in terms of what we've been talking about today, and obviously nurturing and educating everyone on what the technology is at Trilio. So right off the very top, there are some graphs and statistics that I have on the slide. On the left-hand side, we can look at the challenges that Kubernetes users have been facing. This graphic is from 2017, so I want to kind of point out that Kubernetes has been growing, and biggest challenges, obviously security is one. Storage was a big challenge as well. But now when we fast forward to 2020, 2021, we see that almost 75 to 77% of Kubernetes users are running storage in production. And obviously there are a few more who are going to be joining them to push the numbers almost up to the 85% mark. So as a result, there are going to be a lot of stateful workloads which are going to be running in Kubernetes. We are seeing a lot of impact and a lot of acceleration of these stateful workloads. And as a result, the need for protecting that application or your stateful workload becomes very important. Right? Now, what we know is that cloud native applications, these Kubernetes applications, are built in a very different fashion. By that I mean, we know that the cloud native applications are firstly, microservices oriented. They are, very API driven. Infrastructure as code is highly important. Very, very policy driven. Extremely scalable as well. And when we think about our traditional legacy applications and how our traditional data protection technologies work with them, there was a lot of application dependence. There was integration into the operating system itself. The apps or the workloads themselves were not as scalable as what we see on the microservices side. Footprint was also pretty static. And then, the overall focus was on the data volumes, right? But what we know from Kubernetes applications is that in order to protect an application, in order to get a proper point-in-time capture, we need to capture not only the data volume, but also the metadata. These are the configuration manifest files that dictate or declare how the application should be functioning or working within the Kubernetes cluster. So what becomes important is the metadata as well as the data volume. Okay, and that is what Trilio provides as part of its overall solution. Now let's jump into who is Trilio and where are we coming from. So as an organization, we were founded in 2013, so we've been around for about 8 years. We spearhead and we are the leading vendor for OpenStack and Red Hat virtualization environments. That is where we basically started our roots from. And our entire technology is proprietary. It's fully patented. Our engineering, sales, and entire organization is a global organization, and we have customers ranging in various verticals already. From a product perspective, we obviously have a lot of validations and certifications of what I'm going to be talking about today. Obviously, we are certified and validated by distributions like obviously HPE, Red Hat, SUSE, and VMware. And obviously there are a lot more, but these are the main ones that we work with and we partner with. Now let's talk about the overall TrilioVault platform. So one of the biggest things that we've done is we are completely agentless, right? We do not introduce any sidecar into the application or the workload. We do not require you to have a separate server on which you run a Kubernetes agent, talks to the applications, nothing of that nature. We keep the application pristine and make sure that it is completely non-disruptive. So as your applications are running, Trilio will come in, capture whatever it needs to do a backup and do it extremely non-disruptively. We are fully multi-cluster, multi-tenant. What this means is, one is from a multi-cluster management point of view, you can make sure that Trilio runs uniformly in all kinds of environments that you have. And then from a multi-tenant point of view, what we have done is we've built our product against, made sure that we are serving not only the developer community, but also the, the administrators. So whatever we do in terms of our management console, the same capabilities are provided intricately at the CLI level as well. So whether you're coming from the dev side or whether you're coming from the ops side, or whatever your role may be for a specific cluster, we have you supported. Self-service UI integrated. So we take a we have a big interest in making sure that all our users can achieve their workflows or whatever their needs and requirements are directly from our consoles, whether it's on the CLI console or whether it's on the UI console. Everything should be self-service, and that is what we provide. From a performance perspective, we are completely scalable. The way we do our captures is based on on-demand pods, as needed. So, we are able to scale infinitely. We provide forever incremental backups as well, because again, going to the underlying architecture, that's how the product has been built, following the cloud-native model in general. And then lastly, which is a very, very big point, we have an open universal backup schema. So what this means is that the format in which we store our backups, they are completely open. We use a format known as QCOW2, and additional workflows and additional activities can be done on those point-in-time captures directly, irrespective of Trilio. What this also means is there are no proprietary locks or anything that are applied on top of the backup image. Everything is clean, and you can use it even without Trilio in the picture. So what this means is we are able to support your hybrid cloud infrastructure, where your containers are running in public cloud environments, and as you are leading into the virtualization and Kubernetes convergence, we have you supported at that level as well. Now, let's talk about what TrilioVault for Kubernetes provides you. What you see in front of you is the management console. And in this management console, I think I have a transition here as well. Okay. On this management console, what we've done is we firstly made it completely distribution agnostic. So no matter where your Kubernetes environment is running, you will be able to run TrilioVault without any issues. We are completely integrated into CSI. So the way we talk to your underlying storage is through the CSI interface. And what we allow you to do is store your data onto the S3 or NFS storage or the NFS targets as well. Then from a cloud perspective, as the Kubernetes model suggests, you can store your information in any cloud as well. Wherever your Kubernetes clusters are running, it may be a managed service or it may be in a private data center. As long as it's Kubernetes conformant, you'll work on it. And then finally, what we allow you to do is we allow you to capture your applications by namespaces, Helm charts, operators, and by labels. Now, the Helm chart aspect, operator aspect is something very, very unique to Trilio. What we allow you to do is capture Helm charts and restore them as a Helm chart as well. Now, this capability is not provided by any other solution in the market, and same thing with operators. You have an operator, we not only capture all the operator resources, but also get all your custom resources that the operator may be managing. So all of that is, all of this is provided by this unique solution that is TrilioVault for Kubernetes. Okay. Now, what we'll do is we'll quickly talk about, how folks are using, TrilioVault for Kubernetes. And I think there is some annotation on the overall slide. I'm just going. Okay, there you go. And what we want to talk about on this slide is how users are leveraging Kubernetes and basically interacting with the overall system. Okay, so I'm going to build a slide out. On the extreme left-hand side, we have our developers. So think about Lisa, who is focusing her entire time in writing code, building her cloud-native application, right? And her biggest challenge is to test with production data. She wants to increase, the impact or the success rate of deploying into production. She has been building in her test environment or a dev environment, everything's working, but wants to make sure that even within production, everything passes successfully. And the way she's going to be able to do that is by testing with the most recent copy of your production data. Now, Lisa works with Brian, who is the SRE, right? Lisa's job is 80% software development, 20% on the ops or how the application runs or the microservice runs. Brian's job is, 20% he understands software development, but 80% is taking that microservice and running it within the Kubernetes cluster. Now, what Brian will be doing, he will obviously be leveraging, continuous deployment tools to work with Lisa and obviously, take all those applications or microservices that are built and deploy them into the cluster. He is also, interested in making sure that the applications running, in the test and dev environments also succeed when you deploy them in production. But at the same time, he's also interested in the resiliency of the app. Is the application protected? Obviously, he's looking into metrics, logging, all those other pieces as well. But resiliency of the application, whether it gets attacked by ransomware tomorrow or has some data corruption, all of that is something that he is concerned about. So he wants to ensure that the app runs successfully, is protected, and everyone's able to operate it as well. Now, moving on to the right-hand side of the slide, we have Rob. Rob is on the operations side. Think of Rob as the persona who is creating all these, dev and test clusters for Lisa and Brian to work in. Now, the way Rob thinks of the world is, yes, he has multiple tenants who are using the cluster, and he is also interested, or his focus and priority is to ensure that all the applications are running correctly and that is uptime within the cluster. So he wants the single easy button to ensure that when an application is running, or let's say if a namespace goes down or the entire cluster goes down, he is able to bring that up without troubling Lisa or Brian at the middle of the night or something on those lines. He wants to have control in case the cluster crashes to bring it up all at once. So business uptime, DR migrations, everything become a very, very big issue and challenge for Rob. And then finally, on the extreme right, we have Jane. You can think of Jane as the IT director. Her focus is, cost, performance, wants to make sure that, the organization is doing things in an efficient manner. Obviously business continuity is big for her as well, making sure that, the organization can have a multi-cloud story, whether it is, public and private or multiple public clouds, however, they deem fit. So naturally what happens is Jane is interested in obviously the disaster recovery aspects, migration aspects, whether you want to migrate to do performance testing or you want to migrate for cost reasons. All those needs are basically coming in from the Janes of the organization. So this is the overall approach as to how folks are using Kubernetes and what we have been seeing as per the challenges throughout the application lifecycle process. Okay. Now, let's talk about how Trilio provides application recovery and portability. Okay. So what we allow you to do, assuming that there is a container platform like HPE Ezmeral, Trilio is installed in it. Through Trilio, you can capture your applications, whether it's an entire namespace, Helm-based, operator-based, or by labels, into a centralized repository. Now, from that centralized repository, you can restore everything back into the HPE Ezmeral container platform itself. Or you can restore everything back into a completely new cluster and a namespace of that new cluster. So what overall you're able to achieve is, backup and restore into the same environment, or restore into a completely different environment. So this is the underlying, the crux of how Trilio is able to enable a plethora of use cases. Okay. And to talk about those use cases, we'll jump into this slide. We are all aware of the day two side of things. We know that backup and recovery is required when you're running in production. You want to make sure your databases are protected. You have the capability of point-in-time recoverability, disaster recoverability, migrations. Obviously protecting from things like ransomware. All of that we are very, very aware of. However, now what happens is when we think about the the Lisas and the Brians of the world, what you're able to do is on the fly as part of your code check-in itself. You can have these actions which will actions or custom workflows which can go and pull the production data and keep that ready and staged while your CI tests create your container image, and then you test automatically with your newly built image and the production data. And you can do this in multiple environments. So your app mobility, copy test, test data management, everything can be handled through Trilio. And we have a lot of demonstrations on how we have done this in the past. So definitely do check out the website on Trilio to understand how all of this works. Now, talking about more into how Brian is using his system is via GitOps. GitOps is basically infrastructure as code and a continuous deployment tool working together, right? What this means is that you have all your code running in Git, and then you're automatically having an agent from the cluster sync up and replay all of that. However, what Trilio can help with, even on the day one, is protecting the GitOps tool itself. Whether it is application configuration drift, if you're looking to capture that because of compliance or security reasons, you can do all of that as well. So not only from a day zero Lisa Brian perspective, or day one Brian Rob perspective, or day two, when we think about Rob and the Janes, Trilio has you covered throughout the evolution of your application, right from the inception on how you're building it to the time you deploy it into production, and when you actually hit issues, from a day two perspective as well, you can use Trilio throughout that entire life cycle. Okay. Now, what we'll do is we'll jump into a few technical aspects of the solution, after which we will tie it up with a quick demo. So let's first understand the underlying architecture of TrilioVault for Kubernetes. So at the very base level, it's the user interaction, and what the user interacts with is custom resource definitions. So the entire Trilio product has been divided into a bunch of custom resource definitions. These are like templates that you can apply and create your individual objects or your resources on. So if you see over there, we have some CRDs for creating the target. Target is where you store all your point-in-time captures. You have a CRD to do a backup, to do a restore, many more, like around hooks, policies, and so on. All of that get put into a another CRD or referenced in another CRD known as the backup plan. We'll cover that more in the upcoming slide. Now, as part of the user interaction, the user, does kubectl apply or, creates a custom resource. And as part of that, there are some activities that happen within the control plane. So generally, when we think about a backup, what happens is we have the meta mover pods that are spun up, and the meta mover pods are spun up at the control plane level itself. And what these meta mover pods do is they go talk to the Kubernetes API server, capture all the resources, all the YAML files, everything, and then put that into the NFS or the S3 repository in a JSON format. Then at the data plane layer, this is where the cloud native architecture, the scalability piece comes into play. At the data plane level, what we do is we leverage CSI to talk to the persistent volume. We take a snapshot of that persistent volume, restore that snapshot into a new persistent volume. And then we have something known as data mover pods. And again, we are completely efficient in how we do this. We have one data mover pod per persistent volume so that we can get the parallelism in terms of uploading the data into the target as well. And as you see on the diagram, the data mover pod maps the persistent volume on one side, the target repository on the other side, and moves the data from one side to the other. And we store it, as I mentioned, in an open format, which is the QCOW2 format. Now, here, I'm just going to build out this slide to explain how everything works. Now, from the user's perspective, what they do is they create something known as a backup plan. As the name suggests, backup plan is a plan on how you want to back up. What are you backing up, how often you're backing up, where is it going to, if there are any kind of hooks and everything that you want to use to define that overall protection plan in a way. So in the backup plan itself, you specify you want to back up, the entire namespace, multiple namespaces, one Helm application, multiple Helm applications, whatever you want. We make it extremely granular and extremely simple for users to cherry pick what they want as well. Once you've defined the backup plan resource, the next thing you do is you create a backup. Now, the backup again is a custom resource which points to the backup plan. And obviously, the backup can be full or incremental. First backups are generally always full. And once you do that, you have your object, your backup object created in the target. Similarly, the restore is, works on an inverse way. You have the backup object, you run the restore workflow or the restore CRD, in which you provide the reference to the backup object if it's in the same cluster, or a location if you're doing a cross-cluster migration or a cross-cluster restore or a DR operation or something like that. You can provide the location as well. And then what happens is, once you do that, you run the overall operation, you get your application back as per what you had described. Now, there are obviously additional controls in between that we provide, where you can exclude resources, you can transform resources. We have restore hooks that you can do as part of the overall operations. Now, let's quickly jump into what do we back up. I've mentioned it a few times that we do label, Helm, operators, and namespaces. But let's quickly understand what is it and how do we do all of that. So when we do a namespace backup, all the objects that you have within the namespace, we'll capture all of those. Obviously, if there are any persistent volumes associated with pods, we'll find all the dependent resources as well and get those as well. When we do backups based on custom labels, what we'll do is we'll capture the spec of all the resources. And then if there are any additional dependent resources that we find, like config map secrets, PVs, obviously, we will go and capture those dependent resources as well. Helm backup. Now, obviously, when you want to back up a Helm chart, all you need to do is provide the release name. So it's just a one-liner saying that, hey, this is my Helm release name, go capture that. We will go and figure out the overall mapping and the different objects that are created by the Helm chart. And what we'll do is, as part of our discovery phase, we will understand, the different objects, the persistent volumes, everything that needs to be captured, and we will, go ahead and store all of that into the target repository. Now, as I mentioned, the benefit and the value of what Trilio provides through this Helm capability is that if you back up your Helm chart as a Helm chart through Trilio, it will be guaranteed to be restored as a Helm chart as well. So your commands like Helm upgrade, Helm rollback still will be consistent. When you look at other tools in the market, no one can support Helm directly. And again, as I mentioned, this is a patented technology as well. Operator backups, right? Operators are I wouldn't say the next version, but they work in tandem with Helm almost, and it's another way of managing your applications across the entire cluster. So what we do is we back up not only the operator resources, we also back up all the custom resources and the application resources that make up the operator or the operator managers. And all of this, again, we parse all that information that we find, any dependent and, direct and indirect resources. We gather all that data and make sure that we provide a full picture of what the application is talking to and where the application is connected. Okay, so this is in a nutshell, whatever Trilio can offer today. Now, from a security perspective, we all know security is paramount. And what we've done is we've taken extra care to ensure that the product itself is built in the best possible fashion. And what we've done is, firstly, we do not require any admin access. So any cluster admin privileges or something, we don't need that. We leverage existing security contexts. If you have special permissions and needs, you can work that into your security context, understanding how Trilio works. But again, we follow the principle of least privilege and make sure that whatever we touch and use is very, very minimal. We have our own service accounts, which again are created at runtime. So the service accounts do not just sit and exist within the system for anyone else to compromise. We are actually creating the service accounts at runtime before we do a backup and a restore. Okay. So from a permissions capability, as I mentioned, right, we define each and every every permission that the Trilio account or service account is going to use, what it's going to touch. All the verbs have been fully documented, within our publicly available user documentation. So definitely take a look at how we, firstly go deep into the system, managing and touching all your applications, but still do it in a very, very secure fashion. And then we have a dedicated page. It's almost a table with 200 to 300 points around how Trilio is upholding the principles of security across all different domains. So all of this has been documented in our public documentation, which is docs.trilio.io. And what I'll do is I have the compatibility slide, but before getting into that, just we'll go through the questions that you mentioned. Okay. So I think the questions from Jerome were, where do you store your backup? So we store our backups in a centralized repository, which is, it can be S3 compatible or any NFS compatible storage. And as part of the next release that we'll be doing, we are adding support for Blob, Azure Blob, and Google Cloud Storage as well. Are you using CSI snapshot first and then store that in external S3? Correct. So what we do is we are using the CSI capability to take that point in time capture. So we snapshot it, but then once we snapshot it, we separate from the application. We separate ourselves from the application and work on that snapshot, converting that back to a persistent volume, taking the data and moving it into the target repository. And then did you test operator kube director and Ezmeral tenant backups? So as part of the demo, we are going to be covering how we tested on the Ezmeral platform. So the demo is geared and aligned to Ezmeral, and then you can see how we offer the label and the Helm-based backups on the Ezmeral platform. But if if it's an operator, I'm 100% sure that we will be able to capture it, and if it follows the general regular operator standards, pretty sure we can capture that as well. Okay. So crash consistent instead of application consistent backups. So you can get, so we have the concept of hooks as well, where you can, talk to the application, quiesce it, and then take an application consistent backups. On our, again, documentation site, if you go to docs.trilio.io/Kubernetes, you'll see a list of different databases that we have qualified. So, Mongo, SQL, Redis, Memcached, InfluxDB, Cassandra, you name it. All of those have been qualified. And, we provide the end-to-end YAMLs and everything as to how you achieve that. And it's all available on our website. We also have a ton of demonstrations around how we do those backups and restores. So it's available under the video sections as well. Okay, so Jerome, you're saying we override namespace behavior, so this needs to be tested, recover a Ezmeral tenant. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but let's touch and sync up after the demo, and we'll kind of figure out what else you have that we can test and validate as well. Okay, so I think those are the end of the questions. Thanks, Justin, for pointing those out. If there's anything else you see that we need to answer, let me know. If not, in the meantime, I'll continue with the rest of the slides. Okay, so I think, Jerome, what you were asking about in the application consistent pieces, that's shown on this slide, but this is the overall compatibility slide that we have. As mentioned earlier, we are CNCF conformant. So as long as your distribution is listed within the CNCF conformant page, it will be automatically supported. However, we are doing our own support qualifications and all the other proactive methods of supporting the community, and we are doing our own testing to validate all the different distributions that you're seeing in front of you. Storage wise, as long as there is CSI interface available, we'll be able to support it. We are providing a non-CSI approach for some corner cases that we are seeing, but predominantly heavily it will be all CSI focused only. Target wise, Amazon S3 or can be any S3 compatible storage, or an NFS based storage. And as I mentioned, Blob and Google Cloud Storage will be coming very soon. We provide out of the box integration for Prometheus and Grafana. So we have a bunch of metrics that are sent to the Prometheus server as you install the product. And then from a visualization, we have about 10 or 11 dashboards that are hosted directly on the Grafana project page. If you search for Trilio, you'll find them, and then you can use that along with these Prometheus metrics. Databases, as mentioned, bunch of different databases have been qualified. We continue to qualify many more. We are doing almost like 3 to 4 every month. So if there are specific databases that you folks are interested in, please let us know, and we'll have those qualified as well. And then, as mentioned earlier, we'll work in any cloud environment, whether it's a hyperscaler environment or your on-prem environment. Wherever you have your Kubernetes cluster, we have you covered. Okay. So now what we'll do is we will get into where the rubber meets the road by jumping into the demo piece of it. So the demo is about 10 minutes. It's a recorded demo on the Ezmeral platform. So I'm going to be speaking over it, and feel free to ask questions as you see them along the way, and I'll help answer it at the end of the demo video. Okay, can you all see my QuickTime player now that I'm sharing? Okay, thank you, Fred. Cool. So what you see in front of you is the Ezmeral platform, and this is the this is the platform that we tested on with Trilio. Now, right off the top, there's this Ezmeral Kubernetes cluster. Trilio is already installed in it, and you can see that there is the TrilioVault management console. We'll look at everything from the CLI angle as well to see all the different pods and objects running within the cluster. So first thing what we'll do is we'll look at TrilioVault Manager. Think of TrilioVault Manager as the instance of Trilio. So we are an operator as well, and the instance of the application is called TrilioVault Manager, which is installed in this cluster. Now we can look at the pods. We can see there are a bunch of different pods that Trilio creates, related to the control plane, ingress, and so on. There are these CRDs that we were looking at earlier. Maybe a little bit of an eye chart, but if I can help you out in reading, it's the backup plans, backups, hooks, licenses, policies, restores, targets. So those are the different CRDs that users would be working with overall. And then what we'll also do is we will look at the pods of the application that we are going to be working with. So we have like a MySQL app and some WordPress application that we'll be using. Next, what we'll do is we'll log into the TrilioVault management console. And the way you do this is by leveraging a kubeconfig file. The kubeconfig file is specific to each user. So the way the overall management console has been designed is for already leverages your existing role-based access controls to show you all the information that is specific to your persona. So what you see here is the management console. On the left hand side we have the Ezmeral cluster which is connected. In the center of the screen you have all the namespaces that you see for the Ezmeral platform. And then on the right-hand side, you have all the statistics in terms of the backup summary, restore summary, target summary, how much space you're using, and all that. So there is a view of monitoring that we provide within our own console itself. Now, the first thing we'll do is we'll look at the targets that are available within our source namespace. So the source namespace is selected on the left, and you see that there is a demo target over here. This is a target created in S3. You can create new targets as well. As I mentioned earlier, we support NFS and object storage. So depending upon which one you're interested in, you can create either or. Okay. What we'll do is we'll also look at the destination namespaces where we are going to be restoring into. And what we see is that the same targets are available there. So the target technically becomes a central source of truth through which your applications are moved across, whether it's within the same cluster or whether it's across clusters. Okay. So now that what we'll do is we'll go back to our main page. What we see is, if you have a particular namespace selected, you can click on create backup and go through the backup workflow. But namespace backups and everything are pretty common, and everyone does that. So what we are going to be focusing on is looking at the applications within the namespace. So what we did is we double clicked or went into the application view for TrilioVault for Kubernetes, and what you see in front of you now is how Trilio surfaces all the information to make it extremely easy for capturing what you want to protect. So right from the beginning, you see there are discovery operations done which show you all your labels that are available. There are Hellman operator-based applications that you can select. There are independent objects. So it could just be a secret that you want to capture. We will discover all of that for you and show you. Okay. Now, what we'll do here is, we'll look at this application here. We can search for it. We're going to be doing a backup of the WordPress application. Everything is context driven. So you can see as soon as you selected the WordPress application, the monitoring views, everything changed. You can go ahead and provide it a name for the backup. A backup plan already exists over here. And as you can see, the target is the same target which we were showing earlier. Okay, and the way we are doing a backup is by a custom label app:WordPress. So any object that matches that label is what we are going to be using to do the actual protection. So in order to move forward, we have to select the backup plan and then provide it a name. So that's what we'll be doing next. Mode-wise, as I mentioned, everything by default, the first backup is always a full backup. And by default, the next backup is always an incremental backup. You can override the incremental full from the second backup onwards. Okay, so once you're happy with selecting your name for the backup and everything, you can click on create backup. It will start the overall backup process. There is a status log that you can look at to see how the overall progress is happening. You can actually go into the backup summary view as well. This is where we provide you a kind of like a global view of all the different to get like a global view of all the different backups and restores that are happening within your environment. Okay, now what we see here is the same status. The meta snapshot has started, so the meta movers are capturing all the data. There's a backup summary also that you can see, and most importantly, you have your metadata summary. What does the metadata summary show you? The exact objects that Trilio is going to be capturing as part of this backup. Okay. Now, once you are kind of satisfied with looking at everything that you want to capture, or looking at how this is panning out, what we'll do is, while this label application is getting captured, same time we'll go and do a capture of our Helm application as well. Now, again, what we are doing is we are showing you, we are discovering all your Helm charts ourselves and surfacing that to you. So there is no need for the user to think about what he wants. One item that I forgot to mention about is that users can also select labels, Helm charts, objects, however they want, and concatenate their selections across different protection scopes. Yeah. So again, you can select the MySQL Helm chart, and what you see is you can click on the details tab. You can get a view of what are the different objects that this Helm chart supports, and understand beforehand what you're going to be protecting. Okay, once you're satisfied, similar to how you had done the label backup, all you would need to do is click on create backup, and again you'll have the backup plan, which was already pre-created for this exercise. So you can select that backup plan, provide it a name, and that will start the overall backup process. Again, the information as the backup plan is showing is the same target that we are putting everything into, and that's what we are going to be leveraging as part of the restore as well. Okay, so now that we provided a name, same process, we click on save, it will start the overall backup process in general. Now, what we'll do is, you can obviously look at the status of the backups that we mentioned. You can look at, everything is context driven. Because the Helm chart was selected, you see only one backup over here. But now if we go back and we unselect, the Helm chart and unselect the label application as well, and then we click on, the backup summary, we can see both the backups that are in progress. Okay. So in the interest of time, what we're going to do is we'll let this complete. I think we have fast forwarded the video here to show after completion, how everything looks. I'm just going to move forward. You can see that once everything's available, you have everything shown in green. All the different steps in terms of capturing the metadata, data aspects have been done, and obviously the metadata summary of what was captured as well. Now, in order to restore, what you can do is, there are a couple of different things technically you can do. But before that, what we want to show is there is nothing in the label target namespace right now. No Helm charts, no labels with persistent volumes. And then similarly, on the Helm namespace or the Helm target namespace as well, there is no data. So I just want to show that we're going to be doing the restore. And as part of the restore, there is no data that is already in there. So there are two ways you can actually trigger the restore operation: by going to the backup and clicking restore, or we also, from the home page, as we said, everything is context driven. You can technically go into the home page, select the app that you had taken some backups on, and there is a restore points tab as well. So you can select and do everything from the main page itself. The backup that we had just taken is shown here, and you can click on that drop down and then click on restore to start the overall restore operation. Okay, so just going to fast forward this a bit in the interest of time. What you end up doing when you do a restore is, obviously provide a name, select the namespace that it's going to go into, and then we have this flag known as skip if already exists, so that if there are any cluster scope resources, you don't want to override them. You can still override them if you want to, but we generally use that as a fail-safe mechanism. If you want to transform your components, if you want to do any exclusions, you can do that also from this side of the restore workflow. Transforms are useful for, let's say you're going from cluster 1 to cluster 2 and the storage classes are different. You can use transforms to change the storage class of your application on the fly. Okay. Again, as I mentioned, we have some restore hooks also available. You're not going to be using anything over here, but what this will all do is start the restore process. And again, as for the backup, you can verify how the restore functions and happens as well. But again, we're not going to go through the overall, we're not going to wait for the entire thing. We will move forward and do the same thing for the label-based application. Again, you click on the application that you're interested in, context-driven, restore points available, click on the restore point you're interested in, and then go through the overall restore process. Again, even for the label backup, it's the same thing that we do. We're not going to be using any transforms exclusions, but we'll continue with the overall process itself. Once everything is done, once the restores are complete, you can see that the restore objects are available. You can look at the status logs, obviously the metadata summary as well. But what we'll do is we'll actually look at the namespaces in which these applications got loaded into. You can see the restore label is on the hexagon as well to show that this was just actually done right now. And then similarly for the Helm chart as well. And then you can look at the details of the application. You can see the different objects that were restored. One thing to notice over here, we did not restore the storage class because we had used that skip if already exists flag to ensure that it does not override anything. So that's about it. That's how you end up doing a backup and a restore on TrilioVault. And hopefully this was educational enough where you got a good understanding of how the overall Trilio product functions. Okay. So with that, I conclude my talk. Hopefully it was useful for all of you. And if there are any other questions, I think I can answer them.
There was one additional question about the possibility to automate the backup in the namespace in Trilio. So, but I think
yeah, so we have policies through which you can automate the backups, and obviously you can automate your backups as part of your DevOps workflows as well. Trilio is completely embedded into the kubectl framework. So you do not need to learn any other CLI. As part of your CI/CD processes itself, you can launch your applications, have them protected so that when you deploy them in production or any other cluster, it's already is continuously protected via Trilio.
And in the meantime, obviously, as I said, this is the only slide that you should be aware of. It contains all the different links to our different assets from the website, the Slack channel. If you want to register to the newsletter, if you want to contact us by mail, or if you don't want to use our Twitter handle or the Yammer group, either internal or the partner one. And finally, the workshops on demand. So, and if you are not into slides, and if you are a QR code guy, there's the QR code that you can actually scan on the top right hand side of the slide, and that will provide you with a page with all this information within. There is one additional comment in the chat. Yeah, thanks, Prashanto, for the presentation, and hopefully people have learned a lot about the subject. Not everybody has voted yet, so I will leave the poll for a few seconds left. And saying PKUs was over HPE. So yeah, as Prashanto said, he's a former HPE employee indeed. So he used some of the picks he already used in time. Yes, only 9 people voted, but so far I'll leave it for now. I will thank you for attending the session, and obviously this has been recorded and the replay will be made available within a few days, and we'll be sending you a note whenever the replay is available, and we'll be sharing it to the community, obviously, as usual. Is there any additional questions or comments? It's still time, we're at the top of the hour, but if people are willing to ask one last minute question, this is your time, I would say. If not, then I think we will close the call, and wishing you a very good end of your day, and speak to you very soon in 15 days, I suppose, for the next DevTalk or the next Mention Learn that should show up next week as well. So have a good day, and thanks again, Prashanto, for your session. That was really interesting, and we'll be providing the replay very shortly. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.